Thank you, Ceann Comhairle. Taoiseach, most people across the country agree that last week's budget was deeply unfair and a very brutal one on the poorest and lowest income families across the country. And today is the commencement of the social welfare bill. And what has emerged from all of the disarray within government prior to the formation of this particular budget was the absolute determination of the Fine Gael members of government to protect at all costs the wealthiest in society. And we were told over the weekend that the Labour Party walked out of that fateful cabinet meeting on the budget because of Fine Gael's insistence that welfare rates across the board, across 31 schemes, would have to be cut if there was to be an increase in the universal social charge. And this has been leaked authoritatively, Taoiseach, by your ministers and by your sources. Now, Labour walked out of that moment against that insistence. But the big question is, why did Labour walk back in again? Did Labour walk back in again to add tax to lower-paid workers, to cut the child benefit, to cut the respite grant, to cut job seekers' benefit, and to tax, and as I say, to cut the respite grant for 77,000 people? And in so doing, the Labour Party has broken every single promise it made to the people of Ireland before the election. No wonder one newspaper columnist said this morning and described them as a junta of Judases. Because there's a real sense of betrayal across the land now, given what has occurred. Now, of course, Minister Abbott said on Sunday that all Labour Party promises made before an election are always made to be broken. Well, I want to put it to you, Taoiseach, that there are 77,000 people out there who've had their respite grant cut. It's a slap in the face to them, and it undermines their value in society. And I would say to you that there's every TD in this House, privately or publicly, would say to you they would love to have this cut reversed. And they want it reversed, because on top of home help hours, it really attacks those with intellectual and physical disabilities, the frail and vulnerable elderly and invalided at home, and it represents, in my view, sends out a message that's appallingly mean-spirited and one of contempt. So I would ask you, Taoiseach, to agree with the vast majority of members of all parties in this House, and at the very least commit, in advance of the social welfare bill today and its deliberations, to reverse this cut.
Thank you. Taoiseach.
First of all, I wouldn't believe all I read in the papers, Deputy Martin. Your acceptance of newspaper reports as being the truth is very far removed from.
Perhaps we could allow the
Deputy Kelleher.
Thank you.
Your acceptance, Deputy Martin, of reports in newspapers as being the truth is very far removed from reality, let me assure you. The position, Deputy Martin, is that you and others certainly put forward the proposition that for a number of weeks before the budget was actually presented here by the Minister for Finance, that the old age pension was going to be cut, that the travel allowance was going to be cut, that the electricity allowance was going to be cut, that the half carers was going to go, that the bereavement grant was going to go. The government made a decision in respect of two areas of social protection. One in respect of the respite grant, and the other in respect of child benefit. This budget is not about any particular party, it's about our people and about our country. And the mess that was left that we have to clean up requires difficult decisions that do impact upon people's lives, and nobody denies that. But the point, Deputy Martin, is that you have to make choices in a situation like this, because our country will never be right unless we put order on our public finances, unless we restore our economy to good health. And in that sense, government set out with a deliberate decision to take over 500 million off those who can best afford it, and that will apply now and for the future. I think you share that sentiment yourself and possibly have expressed that. So I understand from speaking to carers myself that this is difficult. The point, Deputy Martin, however, is that the carers package, the carers allowance, have all been protected, because we value what the carers themselves expressed in producing and publishing the report into carers and what it is that they require earlier on this year. I might add that as far back as 2006, I think it was your own party in government spent 128,000 on a report about this and then did nothing about it. At least the Minister, Minister Lynch, worked assiduously on this since last year, and working with the carers associations and the carers groups produced the very fine report which we would like to see implemented, but which unfortunately financial circumstances don't allow us to do everything that we'd like to do now. I think I should point out to you that, for instance, the carers package, the home care packages, have been untouched. The carers allowance is untouched. The question of the half carers allowance is untouched. Yes, there is a reduction in the respite grant back to what it was in 2006-2007 levels. It would be very nice, Deputy Martin, to be able to stand up on budget day as Minister for Finance and have all the opportunities to give out increased facilities for a whole range of sectors. It's just not possible. And I do accept that this impacts upon numbers of people. But I have to repeat to you that the vast majority of social protection allowances have not been touched. Our government focused here on two areas insofar as social protection was concerned, but our remit has been to protect the vast majority of the rates paid into social protection and the vast majority of the allowances and facilities that are currently made available.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
Another columnist this morning described your interview in the budget last Wednesday night as a stream of banal inanities, a crumbling of language and a load of inarticulate drivel. Now, I wouldn't apply all of that to what you've just said, but I would apply it to the initial part of your response, because we didn't predict anything that you suggested. Last year, Taoiseach, at exactly this moment, you reversed your decision in last year's budget on the disability allowance and on DEIS schools. And Minister Rory Quinn apologised for his attack on carers. He has yet to apologise to the students of Ireland, but at least he did apologise to the DEIS schools for that particular attack, and they withdrew and reversed that particular measure. Now, I'm saying, Taoiseach, there is a majority in this House, Taoiseach, who want this measure reversed. And I would put it to you, Taoiseach, that you can reverse it. Even a marginal increase in the universal social charge would enable you to reverse the respite grant cut. But you still seem determined to continue on. You seem determined to suppress dissent, as is witnessed by the ramming through of this measure this week in terms of the guillotine of both the social welfare bill and latterly on Friday of other measures. You seem to want to hammer Labour Party backbenchers into submission. And why are you doing this, Taoiseach? Why are you doing it? To protect the highest paid in the land?
Thank you. We're over time.
That's what you've leaked across the board. To protect the highest paid in the land, you're prepared to stand over this and broker no dissent from Labour Party backbenchers or anyone else.
Thanks,
it seems you now want to go round parading as some sort of new Irish chancellor, determined to get your way and to give in to no one, Taoiseach.
Thank you.
I would plead with you, I said it to you last week in the Dáil debate, would you just stand back from this, reflect on it and reverse this particular cut, because it does speak and send out a message in relation to this budget, mean-spirited and showing utter contempt for those who care for the less well-off and the most vulnerable in our society.
Thank you. Taoiseach.
I think you could refer your own words to your own actions with your inarticulate drivel and your own truthful, hypocritical comments, really, that you signed on for a property tax, but you don't want a jet. And in the middle of a children's referendum, you send around leaflets around your home constituency saying that this is the wrong time to do something that you signed on for and designed yourself. Now, as I pointed out, the carer strategy was actually put through, agreed and published by the Minister of State in conformity with what the carers themselves expressed as being their principal issues. I might say to you that the estimated expenditure in 2012 on carers is over 771 million, Deputy Martin, 509 million being spent on carers allowance, 24 million on carers benefit, 135 million on the respite care grant and 103 million on the domiciliary care allowance. And that represents an increase of over 20 million on expenditure in the carer area over 2011. There are over 51,000 people in receipt of the carers allowance. That's not touched. Of these, almost 22,000 are getting the half carers allowance, in addition to other social welfare payment at an annual cost of some €90 million. there are over 1,600 people in receipt of the carers benefit, and the numbers who are in receipt of the carers allowance payment from the department has increased by more than 150% over the last decade, from 20,000 in 2001 to 52,000 in 2011.
Thank you.
And expenditure on the carers allowance scheme has increased by over 220% in that period, Deputy Martin. So your question about unpicking elements of the budget, I don't accept it. And I'd make this point to you. Your attack on the Labour Party is utterly hypocritical and opportunistic. You're under pressure from your colleagues on the far side of the House, and you choose to pick out the Labour Party here. Well, let me say something to you, Deputy Martin. Let me say something to you. This budget, presented by the Minister of Finance, is not about the Fine Gael Party and is not about the Labour Party. It is about Ireland and its people. It is about this government having the conviction and the courage to clean up the most inordinate mess left behind by the most incompetent, out-of-touch, arrogant government of the last 50 years in the country. And we will do that. We will do that, both taking into account the circumstances in which so many people find themselves. But they say to me all over the country, we know that difficult decisions have to be made in the interests of all our people. I would love to be able to say to you that instead of any cuts in this area, that the reverse is true. That's not the case. And this budget, Deputy Martin, is about freeing up our economy, about freeing up the opportunities for the many hard-pressed families in the middle-income sector who will never get out of this rut unless government make hard decisions in the interests of all our people and our country. And it ill behoves you to come in here and attack the Labour Party in particular as if this budget belonged to them. This budget is about the people of our country, and we will stand over it and attempt to introduce these decisions with care and compassion and consideration in the best way possible. We have protected the vast majority of the allowances that are paid out under social protection, and I've given you the increased 20 million and where it's spent for this year over last year.